Good morning. It is 10 o'clock, straight up on the East Coast. I'm Dave Wilden, and this is Boogie with the Bull, Red Friday Morning Caffeine. With us, Bill Muckler, who you all know and highly appreciate his commentary, as well as his telling you what Red Friday is if you haven't heard about it by now, but I'm sure everyone has. But Bill, go ahead and tell us uh, Red Friday, and then we'll dive in and go from there.
Yeah, thank you, Dave. Every Friday we remember everyone deployed, and that's the whole idea. It's not anything to really celebrate or be happy about. It's just the fact that we want to remember that we've got our young men and women. They're deployed somewhere around the globe, and so RED, remember everyone deployed. And I've expanded that to include everybody on active duty, even if they're stationed in the United States or United States territories or bases, because they're just a heartbeat away or a moment away from being deployed someplace on this planet. And the way the current administration has got us into all these different conflicts, who knows what could happen. Anyway, let me talk a little bit about Red Friday from a different perspective. I think
Okay.
it was Napoleon. Did Napoleon say the army travels on its stomach or something like that?
I believe it was actually pretty close to what you just said. Yes.
Okay. In any case, I kind of know how all this works. If you're deployed in combat, you can go maybe 2 days without water, and that's max. You're not, especially. I'm thinking about Marines. Most of the time, we're in some pretty hot places like deserts or tropical islands or whatever, and you can maybe go about 3 days without food. And at that point, 2 days without water, 3 days without food, your fighting force, your combat effectiveness is down to practically zero. You just aren't going to make it. So what's happening now is our government has decided we're going to, and I'm not sure exactly how far this has progressed or how far it's in play, has decided that now we're going to feed our folks with artificial, I shouldn't say our folks, our armed forces personnel with, guess what, Dave? Artificial meat. I don't.
I
And what
know.
we're doing now is we're growing meat in laboratories. And this is supposed to be some great thing. And this is all tied into this climate change hoax, which is the biggest joke in the world. Anybody that talks about man-made climate change is just, they're Looney Tunes. There's no other way to explain it. So anyway, the whole idea is we're going to cut back on animals like beef, cattle, because they are destroying the environment, and they're going to cause the oceans to rise, and we're all going to be gone. And of course, that's the most ridiculous thing that ever happened. And of course, they've lied about this. They've manipulated the data. It's unbelievable how far they've gone to spread this fake ideology. But in any case, they're growing meat in laboratories, and they're going to produce this meat and serve it to our armed forces personnel. I've never was a Dr. Frankenstein fan. The whole Frankenstein movies never appealed to me, never really turned me on. So now what we're doing is we got Frankenstein meat for our armed forces personnel, and I'm totally against that. I can't go along with that at all. Now here's the rub on this, Dave. It produce the artificial meat in laboratories and the Dr. Frankenstein method. than it does actually have the cows graze on the pastures and feed the. I should say cows. I should say cattle. Cows are typically for milking. We don't eat cows. We eat cattle. There's a difference. And I'm not going to get into that either. That's too technical, except for us farm boys who spend a little time. Oh, if you've ever pulled a calf, you know what I'm talking about. Oh boy, I did that at midnight one night. So anyway, it takes more energy to produce this stuff. So why are we doing it? We're doing it in the name of climate change, man-made climate change, because that's the new ideology that's going to supposedly save America, but really what it's going to do is just help destroy our armed forces and our citizens as well. Okay, enough of that. I think anybody that's watching this show understands what I'm talking about. They're saying, "Hey, no, we're not gonna send Frankenstein meat to our armed forces personnel. Let them have
No,
the real
we're not.
stuff, right? We
That's
want them to have
right.
the right stuff."
That's right.
Okay, Dave asked me about my cap. Iconic St. Louis Cardinal logo. The STL has been around for more than 100 years or whatever. Most famous franchise in baseball history, other than the New York Yankees. Both of them, they're it. You know, the Yankees and the Cardinals. They're the teams who have won the most World Series, most successful franchises and everything. Now there's a lot of Dodger fans. Boy, they got a lot of money. I would argue with that, but the Dodgers have not won near as many World Series as the Cardinals have. So, in any case, last night I watched on Fox, on Real Fox, not Fox News or Fox Business or all those other spinoffs. On Real Fox at 7:15 Eastern, and actually it started about 6 o'clock Eastern, pregame show. Watch the St. Louis Cardinals play the San Francisco Giants in a baseball game that was held in the oldest active stadium in the country, Rickwood Field. Rickwood Field's in Birmingham, Alabama, built in 1910. Played the game there, and the game was in honor of the Negro Leagues, because the Negro League team, the Birmingham Black Barons, that's where they played their baseball. It was also the home of a Double-A team called the Birmingham Barons, which was the Double-A team for the Detroit Tigers for a while, and I guess the Philadelphia Athletics, who became the Kansas City Athletics, who became the Oakland Athletics, who are probably going to be the Las Vegas Athletics someday. Who knows? But anyway, this was in honor of the Negro Leagues, and they had a bunch of Negro League players there. Some of these guys, boy, they're in their 90s, you know. Just outstanding gentlemen. And I got it. My cap is tipped off to Major League Baseball, the San Francisco Giants, and the St. Louis Cardinals are really putting on one of the classiest sporting events that I've seen probably ever, but certainly in a long time. So this played in Rickwood Field.
Played in Rickwood Field.
Rickwood Field in Birmingham. Yep. I actually attended a game at Rickwood Field back in 2005. So that's 19 years ago. The field was closed because the Birmingham Barons, the minor league club, the Double-A club, actually plays their games in, I think it's in Hoover, Alabama, which Hoover is like Birmingham. It's like a suburb. You can't even tell. You know, I lived and worked in Birmingham for over a year, so I know this area. It's like a home to me. And you if you drive from Birmingham into Hoover, you don't even know, you know, you can't tell the difference. They're just adjacent streets, right? So
Yep.
anyway, Rickwood Field, they're doing a lot of renovating there. They've added lights. They've changed the outfield dimensions. Before, when it was first built, the outfield was like the fences were like close to 500 feet out or something like that, because back then nobody hit home runs, so they had this whole big place. So anyway, my St. Louis Cardinals won 6-5. I'm really happy about that. But whoever would have won wouldn't have made a whole lot of difference. It was just a fantastic event. The announcers did a great job on portraying it. They had some guys on before the show. Did their commentary. Alex Rodriguez, Big Papi Ortiz. Who else was on there? Dontrell Willis. I'm probably forgetting some guys. There's a bunch of guys commentating, and talking about history of black the Negro Leagues. And I guess what's happening now is the Negro Leagues, they've done a lot of research going back to the year 2000 and have come up with or developed all the statistics of all these games that they played. And they're going to take all those statistics and they're going to merge them in with Major League Baseball statistics. So it's going to add a lot of data. And some people like this and some don't. I think I'm kind of for it because, hey, these guys played ball. And you say, well, they played in a different league. Well, here's something that's very interesting. In the period of a 14-year period from 1947 to 1962, or 48 to 62, that 14-year period, 11 of the MVPs were black players. Whoa. So if they were guys who came from the Negro League. So if they came from the Negro Leagues and they could be the most valuable players in the Major League Baseball, I think that gives them some credibility. So I'm impressed with that. And you say, well, who are these guys? Well, there are guys like Maury Wills and Roy Campanella and Hank Aaron and Willie Mays. And this is what we're getting to right now, because Willie Mays grew up in Birmingham. He actually played in the Negro Leagues for the Birmingham Black Bears. When he was like 15, 16 years old, he was playing center field for him. It was like in the major leagues now, a 16-year-old kid came up and started playing center field for the San Francisco Giants. I mean, this guy, I think, maybe the greatest baseball player of all time. But boy, we can argue that forever and so forth. Who's the best? Different eras. Some people never even heard of Rogers Hornsby, and other people never heard of Ducky Medwick, and people didn't, that don't know anything about any of these guys. So that's what's fun about baseball. You can argue about baseball just like you can argue about politics. Is that baseball is more fun to argue about.
It is.
And you got statistics to look at. So anyway, when you add in the Negro Leagues, Josh Gibson, who's from the Negro Leagues now, he's got a lifetime batting average of, I think, 382. Ty Cobb was the original leader in batting average, lifetime batting average. Now he becomes, I think his is 367. So he's now in second place. And then a guy who played for the St. Louis Stars, Oscar Charleston, becomes in third at around 350 something. And then our own St. Louis Cardinals, Rogers Hornsby, is fourth with, I think, 352 or 357 or something like that. So anyway, Willie Mays, they showed some highlights. One highlight of Willie is the catch where he goes out and catches the ball over his shoulder and throws it into infield in the old Polo Grounds, which had an outfield. The center field was like 450 feet away. Unbelievable. Anyway, that was so much fun. They honored Willie Mays. Willie Mays, tribute to Willie Mays. This game was held on Thursday, January 20th. Not January, June 20th. What am I thinking? I'm getting ahead of myself. And on the 18th of June, which was Tuesday, Willie Mays passed away at the age of 92. He was born in 1931. So he's 4 years older than me. I was born in 1935. I've seen Willie. I had the privilege to see Willie Mays play probably at least a half a dozen or more times because I used to go to the ballpark, and back in the 50s and 60s. That was when there was only 8 teams. So, my St. Louis Cardinals would play the Giants 22 times, and they'd play the Reds 22 times and the Cubs 22 times. Now it's all different. I guess it's progress. It's better. Who knows? Anyway, I was privileged enough, lucky enough to be able to see a lot of these guys play. And I thought Willie Mays was probably the best player I ever saw. And I saw an awful lot of Stan Musial, who was a family friend. And I've seen Ducky Joe Medwick, who's a relative of our family, married a distant cousin. Cool. Okay, enough about Willie Mays. Thanks, Willie. I know you're up there because Willie was not only a great player, but he was a great person. A wonderful person, great ambassador for baseball, great ambassador for the Negro Leagues and for the black players that were coming into Major League Baseball at that time, because he was one of the first ones. Jackie Robinson was 1947. Willie Mays' first year was 1951. He actually lost 2 years because he was drafted and served in the Army in Korea for 2 years in 52 and 53 seasons. How about that, sports fans? Willie Mays, Korean War hero.
Cool. Okay. Very cool. Very cool.
So if we were doing this show in 1953, we'd be saying, remember everybody deployed, our guys over in Korea like Willie Mays. Or if we were doing it in 1944 or 1945 during World War II, we'd be saying, remember a whole ton of guys like Stan Musial and Ted Williams, who lost years while they served in the Navy and the Marine Corps during World War II. So they lost some of their best years as well, where they could have hit a lot more home runs and a lot more hits and all the rest of this stuff. But anyway, they're great heroes, and we remember them posthumously. Okay, Dave, what do we want to talk about today?
What's the Bill Buckler commentary of the week?
Okay.
And I don't want the Looney Tunes edition. I want the reality.
Oh boy, you're gonna get the Looney Tunes edition because it is Looney Tunes.
Okay.
Red versus blue. The media. Rush Limbaugh used to call them the mainstream media, and anyway, I used to write articles that I had on my webpage, and I probably wrote more than 100 of them. And I referred to them as the shady stream media. This is going back 10 years ago or so, when I was doing a TV show and writing articles. Here's what's happening in America today. Like it or not, the viewers, bear with me on this. Our media is supposed to be objective. They're supposed to be neutral. They're supposed to be for us, the people. They're supposed to be asking questions and reporting on the facts and they're supposed to be telling us what our government is doing. They're not doing that anymore. What they're doing is they've become propaganda arms of the political parties. And so we got Fox, who's a cheerleader for the conservatives, and then we've got PBS, NPR, ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, MSNBC are all cheerleaders for the Marxist Party, also known as the Democrat Party. Gotta stop calling the Democratic Party. They're never Democratic. The Democrat Party is their official name, but they are Marxists, pure and simple Marxists, because they believe in the reallocation of wealth and distribution of income and et cetera, et cetera. Don't believe me? How they come up with this, getting college students getting their loans paid, and they say, well, we're forgiving their loans. No, you're not forgiving their loans. What you're doing is you're having some other people who didn't go to college paying off the loans for the people who went to college, and then you're BSing us by saying we're forgiving their loans. That's crazy. That's not accurate. So that's what I'm getting at. We should have a media that is neutral, that's objective, that's reporting things and analyzing things the way they really are, not the way they want to cheerlead for their particular red or blue ideologies. Now, everybody said, well, so what? We already know that. Here's the thing about this, Dave. This is dangerous for America. This is not a good thing for America. We need to be able to get the truth. We're not getting the truth from anybody. We don't know who to believe and who not to believe. All we can do is what they tell us. And I know we got a whole lot of people are watching, people are not watching, are saying, hey, I get my news from the internet and I do my research and everything. Well, that's kind of BS too, because I try to do that and that's almost impossible. And if you're getting it from the internet, you're probably getting some really widely stilted or reported or analyzed information and data, because people on the internet, they're either red or blue as well.
Right.
Who are we getting the truth from? And now what I want to do is I want to talk about what's really best for America. What's best for America is for the citizens to be able to get the true facts, the true news, the accurate news, so we can make good decisions on who to vote for and to shape our country the way we want to shape it, the way we want it governed. And we can't do that because we don't have any news sources that are neutral or objective or really trying to report on what the government is doing. Because let's face it, we all know that the political establishment is screwing over we the people, and they're doing whatever they damn please. And the news media, the shady stream media, all except for Fox, are cheerleading what the Democrats are doing, and Fox is cheerleading for what the Republicans or the Reds are doing. And we ain't getting any help. And so Dave and I are on here, and what we're trying to do is say, hey, all we know is what we read and we research and we dig up and everything, but we don't know if we're getting the true stories either. We just feel like what we're doing, and this is what sets us apart, Dave, you and I, from the others, is we're really trying to get into it and trying to figure out or understand or analyze what's really happening, who's telling us the truth and who's not telling us the truth, trying to sift through all the BS and garbage that's floated out there on the internet, on podcasts, on channel TV, on cable TV, on different shows and everything. Anyway, I'm just really disturbed about the overall fact that our country is now bought into this, and our citizens have bought into this. And now it's the red versus the blue, and we are so polarized with this ideology. And I don't know exactly who's got the real information, who's got the real facts and data on what we should be doing. So, has anybody talked about the amount of pollution and the amount of energy that's required to make this Frankenstein meat? No, nobody's talking about that. Nobody at all. Has anybody really talked about these EVs and the fact that it requires more minerals, more materials, more mining, more energy to produce lithium batteries and EV vehicles than it does for gasoline operated vehicles or diesel
people do.
fuel operated vehicles? No, nobody's telling us that. We pick it up, maybe there's one scientist or one engineer, somebody says, hey, here's the facts on this. And then we got the other guy saying, no, here's the facts on that. And but what we know is, Dave, you and I know one thing for sure, that we can tell our people: if the government's involved in it, it's going to be screwed up. It's going to be a mess. Right. And they're not. The government is not capable of doing anything the way private industry, competitive industry, is capable of doing.
And it's true, because I mean, taxes are always the big thing. There's a side that says we don't have to pay them. There's a side that says, yes, you do. And realistically, I mean, not insulting you in any way, but were you around when income tax was started?
That was 1913. No, I wasn't. I was born in 1935.
So your parents were around, or your grandparents?
Oh, yeah.
Parents and your grandparents.
My parents were, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I used to love to hear the stories of my grandfather, who was a Navy, whatever. I can never remember. He was like Chief Warden or Chief Petty, whichever one was higher is the one that he came out at. And
if he was an enlisted man, he was a Chief Petty officer. The Navy does have warrant ranks, but he was more than likely a Chief Petty officer.
Okay. But I can remember his stories that, used to be able to take, it was like, he could take my grandmother out and spend $1, and that was, a Class A, best restaurant, best meal. You weren't eating any of this, no one was in the back room printing out bogus meat, and then maybe you had enough change left over to go see a movie afterwards, or a show or something. And now it's like you listen to Elon Musk say it's more, not Elon Musk, but Mark Cuban, who I guess sold the Dallas Mavericks recently, but there's lots of videos saying that he used to go on the phone and call people when he bought the team and say, it's cheaper to come see a Mavericks game now than taking your family to McDonald's. But it's like you said. When are we going to stand up and revolt? That's always the question I say. When are we going to stand up and say something? When are we going to stand up and tell the government, hey, this is wrong? When are we going to start weeding out the wrong people in our government? And I mean, it's easy to sit behind the mic and say, hey, I hope Donald Trump is back in the Oval Office on January 25th. But who knows? The Democrats stole 2020, stole this election. You got to wonder whether or not they think they're ready to steal another one. Then you got to deal with Joe Biden's not going to be their nominee. If Joe Biden isn't their nominee, what's Kamala Harris going to do? Talking about bringing up Governor Gavin Newsom from California, along with Big Michael Obama as his running mate. And I really wonder a lot of times on both sides, is the day ever going to come that there is no candidate on either side that people want to vote for?
Well, right now, everything you're bringing up is what's in the news today, because that's what the news media, the Shady Street media, it doesn't make any difference which cheerleaders you're watching or you're following or you're cheering for. What they're doing is they're trying to keep us interested in between their commercial breaks. And so if they can throw out all these names and talk about, well, maybe it's not going to be Biden. People say, oh, it's not going to be Biden. Well, maybe it's going to be Gavin Newsom, or maybe it's going to be Kamala Harris, and maybe Trump's not going to make it. And so now everybody is really, they're buying into this, and they're saying, oh, boy, this is important. We need to know all this. This is all BS, Dave, because what we're going to find out is at the conventions in July and August, and when they have the conventions, we're going to find out who the nominees are, and then we're going to start the real political campaigning.
Oh, yeah. Gosh. Yep.
So right now, all they're doing now is they're feeding us all this stuff, because here's what the media does. The media is in business to make money, to make a profit. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm all for that.
Right.
And the way they do it is they sell commercials. We don't have anybody sponsoring us, so we don't have any commercial breaks. So what they got to do is they got to create enough interesting filler from in between the past commercial and the new commercial coming up to keep people watching, so they'll watch their commercials, so they can continue to get their advertisers to fund them and give them the big bucks. So that's really what this is all about. And anything that we see on the news now, and that's what I'm talking about, they should be neutral, but they can't be neutral, because that way they may not be able to charge the exorbitant prices they do for their 30-second and 60-second commercial breaks. It's the sad thing about America. Now, Dave, you brought up something really important, and I really love this. You really nailed it here. You said, is there going to be a revolution? Is there going to be some way of doing this, handling this? And so I'm going to bring up in my first book, and let me tell you exactly. It's on page 11, and here's the answer. Back in oh boy, I want to make sure I get this exactly right. Anyway, a couple hundred years ago, there was a guy by the name of Alexander Tyler. This was in 1887, and he was talking about republics, and he talked about the Athenian Republic, which was a Grecian, Greek republic, which we kind of are modeled after, and through the years and so forth. And so, anyway, what he said was democracies. Now, viewers, don't get worked up, because we are a constitutional republic. We're not a democracy. We're not a mob rule, but we're kind of like a type of democracy, because we do vote for our representatives. But anyway, I'm just going to use the word democracy as a generic term But I'm really talking about, I'm referring to our constitutional republic, or some people want to call it a representative republic, because we elect representatives to represent us in the various levels of government. So anyway, what Alexander Tyler said, very brilliant man, historian. He said, democracies go through stages. And the first stage is they go from bondage to spiritual faith. Okay, the United States of America, prior to 1776, we were a continent, we were a colony of the British Empire. We were under the thumb of King George III. We were actually in bondage. Now, not everybody in America was a indentured slave or a slave or whatever, although we had slavery, which is, I don't want to, we could do hours on that, how bad that was. But that was the culture of the day. But anyway, our country prior to 1776 was in a state of bondage. We were subjects of King George III of the British Empire. Okay. Stage one, bondage to spiritual faith. Our founding fathers had spiritual faith. They founded our Constitution. They founded our government. They founded our country based on Judeo-Christian principles, the Ten Commandments, various things like that. And it was their spiritual strength that caused them to go from bondage to spiritual faith, and from spiritual faith, our country went through great courage. The Revolutionary War that we fought, the War of 1812, the way we handled the Barbary pirates in the early 1800s, 1801, 1805, 1807. Great courage. That was what our country was founded on. We went through this stage of great courage. And from great courage, we got liberty. That was the next phase of our democratic government. Okay, so now we're up to liberty. And from liberty, we go to abundance. Look what's happening in America. Over the past 100 years or so, we went from a country that was one of the poorest countries on the planet to where we were the richest country on the planet. We are steeped in abundance of everything. Our people who are on poverty are living better than the rich people in a lot of countries. So our country evolved to the stage of abundance. I know I'm going through this very slowly and very carefully, so you'll understand what America is really all about. And from abundance, we go to the next phase, which is complacency. We become so complacent, we don't care who tells us what. Well, we just vote for whoever. If we vote, not everybody votes. Some people vote, some don't. The number of people voting, percentage of people voting now are probably greater than it was 50 or 60 years ago. But anyway, we get complacent. We're very complacent. We just go along our merry way, and we're just happy as can be. We're complacent as can be. We don't care what anybody does. Somebody does something we don't like, that's okay. If we want to promote pedophiles and pedophilia, that's okay. And that's somebody else's problem. It's not our problem. Let it go. If we want to murder unborn babies, that's okay. It's no big deal. We're just happy to go along and be as complacent as can be. The next stage, what happens is complacency evolves into apathy. And that's where we are today. We're the most apathetic bunch of boobs that I can imagine. our country has become a holding pen for apathetic residents. I don't even know if we can call them citizens anymore. So anyway, we're at the stage of apathy, and from apathy becomes the next stage, dependence. Half of our country is dependent on the government to take care of them. Welfare checks, SNAP programs, which is food stamps, Section 8 housing, free medical care, free this, free that, free college tuition. We're dependent on everything. That's where we are. And then, Dave, from dependence, we go back to bondage. And that's where we are. And I don't think that the American people who have gone from complacency to apathy and dependence. So we're in this whole evolutionary period of complacency to apathy to dependence, where I don't think anybody's going to really care what happens to them. We'll just go right back into bondage and be slaves to the federal government. Man, it won't be the federal government, it'll be the United Nations or somebody that's even worse than the United Nations. And it'll be the one world order that we hear about.
So right now, then we have candidates. We have Joe Biden and we have Donald Trump. Like you kind of hinted around, there are people that think that Joe Biden is a pedophile. There are people that know that Donald Trump was a convicted felon in a sham trial, because every time it seems that people talk about Trump's convictions, his campaign coffers go through the ceiling and his support goes through the roof. And I just start wondering, is he just like sitting back, waiting, watching all this stuff, laughing as it happens, and then he's going to accept the nomination? And if we're in dependency, I can see that. And being dependent on one or the other could be a major step for America. Because if you don't want to slip back into bondage, is Donald Trump the man that's going to part the waters and take us to the next level, Bill?
Well, half of the country seems to think that he is, and half the country seems to think that he's not. And we ain't getting any true, neutral, objective information from the media, who's supposed to be investigating and analyzing all of this. So it's your guess is as good as mine. The problem is, even with Trump, and I supported Trump, and Trump was an America First guy, but Trump ran up the national debt like crazy. Not as fast as Biden ran it up, but still in all, does it really make any difference if we got a $34 to $35 trillion national debt that by the time this next election cycle is over, I'm talking about we're now in 2024, we're going to 2028 for who's going to become the new president in 2029. Our national debt's going to be somewhere between 40 and 50 trillion dollars. And it doesn't make any difference if it's Trump is in or Biden's in. It's just that it's going to get up to 50 trillion a lot quicker under Biden than it is under Trump. But in any case, we're screwing ourselves with this national debt, because eventually it's going to cost us more money to pay the interest on our debt than we can afford to afford the armed forces, the military budget. And we already got more than 70% of the budget is going to discretionary funds, which is welfare, Medicaid, Medicare, SNAP programs. In other words, the giveaways. So what difference does it make who's the president, other than the fact that we're going to become a a centralized government that's bankrupting us quicker under Biden than it is under Trump.
Do you think that there is any chance that Donald Trump will come back in and start weeding out the things we don't need? Do you think he will be true? Will there be this big, huge deportation of illegal immigrants that he's talking about, or is it just campaign Looney Tunes to get people to vote?
I don't think Trump is going to be able to mass deport, although I would love to see it. I served under Dwight Eisenhower and John F. Kennedy as a Marine officer. Eisenhower became president in January of 1953. He deported 1.5 million illegal invaders. Can Trump do that? I don't think Trump can do it because I don't think he can. I think the government is so infested with Marxists that he'll be able to pull that off. And he would almost have to declare martial law, which, and we've talked about that. I don't even want to talk about martial law.
I know you don't. I know you don't.
Crazy. It's crazy to think that we would have our country kind of devolve itself to a point where we're under martial law. And I know there's a lot of people out there, a lot of people, viewers saying, yeah, I don't care, get them martial law. It doesn't make any difference because we want revenge. And that's okay. You can think that way, and maybe that's the right way to go. I'm just not a revenge guy. I'm not a guy who's into this trying to, okay, Judge Engoron screwed over us and Trump with this fake trial of his, and he was so dishonest about it that when Trump gets in, we're going to take Engoron out and we're going to hang him in the town square to make an example of him. I think the guy should be put out the pasture. There's no question about it. He should have never gotten in the position he's in the first place. But I'm just not. I'm not into that. I just want to see us do the things that I wrote about. For example, I want us to get rid of this horrendous taxation that we have and regulation. Now, Dave, you brought up a really good point. You talked about, and you may not have said just exactly the way I'm going to say it, but these oppressive regulations that are being imposed upon we the people by unelected bureaucrats. Trump managed to get rid of some of those regulations, and I think Trump will continue if he's elected and inaugurated. He will continue to get rid of some of those regulations, but it's not going to solve the problem because until we get rid of the Department of Education, we get rid of the EPA, we get rid of all these created bureaucracies that have no standing in the Constitution. We have to get rid of them. But see, this gets back to when I told you about we went from abundance to complacency to apathy. We're now in this thing where, we got an EPA. Yeah, we've had them forever. Yeah, they must be a good thing because they're part of the government. It's all okay. It's not okay. The Department of Education, it just came about in 1979. Most of the people in the country were born after 1980. They don't know that we never had that we had a very successful educational system without a Department of Education, and with the Department of Education, we've completely destroyed our ability to educate our young people. So how are we going to do this, Dave? How are we going to get rid of the Department of Education? How are we going to make sure that everybody understands that Randy Weinberg, isn't that her name, the president of the teachers union? What an evil bitch she is. She's got more power in this country than Mitch McConnell and Chuck Schumer put together.
Yep, we gotta change. We gotta change it. There's a lot we gotta change because
Yeah.
I keep coming back to: are we going broke paying those people a starting salary of $174,000 a year? Because most of those people, you can't. I mean, there are a select few that are doctors and were really good lawyers and this and that, and maybe had other successful businesses, and and they earned more than $174,000 a year. But when you take someone like AOC, who was probably making maybe $17,400 a year, and start paying her $174,000 a year to act one way, and somebody else on our side to act one way, are we? I mean, wasn't it Washington who said he wanted people in the government who weren't required to have a big salary? You didn't want them to be that. You didn't want the government to be their full-time supporting job. Not saying that, I mean, I'm lost in what I'm trying to say, but didn't he
No,
just want?
I understand what you're saying. And
Didn't he just want them to get a stipend that kind of covered some of their expenses? Like getting to Washington D.C. when they had to be there, going home and being in their districts, and uh, spending more time with their people in the districts and not all this BS of where you got 19 committee meetings in one day on a Friday before you go home, and you get called back Saturday as soon as you get home because you got to have 19 more meetings. I mean, when when does it when does it when does it end?
I don't know if I can point to anything that Washington said that was that supports what you say. Although it sounds like it. It really sounds more like a Benjamin Franklin, who was really a pretty wise guy who had a large influence on a lot of things that are what we appreciate in America today. So anyway, in any case, it was either Benjamin Franklin or George Washington or whatever.
Okay.
The amount of salaries that they make is really nothing. If you take the entire congressional budget for the Senate and the House, it's nothing compared to the $35 trillion national debt that we have. The real problem is our representatives. They're just really figureheads. It's their staffs. They all have staffs of 18 people who are the ones who are doing everything. And they're the ones who have the lobbyists write all these laws that they pass, or write the regulations for the bureaucratic departments or agencies or whatever that are being put in place. We've lost total control of governing our country. We're in the stage of apathy, going to a dependence. We're dependent on the federal government. We're dependent on the state governments. We're in a heap of trouble, Dave. And hey, for everybody watching, Dave is really he's on the right track on this. He's optimistic and he's looking for ways of saying, how are we going to fix this? And I'm saying, I think it's broken beyond repair. I don't think we can glue it back together again. And I just don't know what in the hell is going to happen to us.
Okay.
And I think what we'd be better off is we'd let Dave do all the talking instead of me, because he's the optimistic guy.
No. I don't think I would enjoy the broadcast of just coming on and doing the negatives and just bashing, we are really messed up. We are really messed up. This is broken. That is broken. Without being able to at least offer some kind of suggestion on how we fix it. And I'm the last one you want suggesting to the House, the Senate, the President, on actions that they should take. Because as far as I'm concerned, when you become president, you've proven to the country that you should be able to be the one who can make the decisions. You should be, meaning that you should be able to know which direction we need to go in. So I'll say it time and time again. I didn't really look back far enough into Donald Trump's personality, what he did as a Democrat, why he became a Republican. I looked at it from the point of view that Donald Trump has built a global corporation that employs a lot of people around the world, does very well, makes a profit, ends up in court because people want to try to break it down just because he must be doing so well and he's so bad a person because of it. But if anybody in the 2016 race had an idea, had the ability, Donald Trump was the man to come in and approach this from, if we look at our balance sheet, if we fix our budget, if we get rid of spending money where we don't need to and spend more where we need to, then maybe we can slowly but surely make America great again. I didn't see that with Hillary Clinton. I saw it the opposite way. I think she amassed this thing called the Clinton Foundation, had a lot of money coming in from around the world, but wanted to take America in a different direction. Same thing with Joe Biden. Joe Biden been making deals here, making deals there. If Ukraine had actually tried Biden back when they wanted to, back when he was going after the attorney general there or district attorney there, whatever they were, and Biden was proven guilty, and Biden spent all this time in jail in Ukraine, he wouldn't be sitting in the White House today, I'm sure. But
he shouldn't be there anyway.
He shouldn't be there.
I'm not sure that I'm not sure that any of the presidents we've had since Reagan, other than Trump, I'm still hopeful that Trump can do something good for us. We haven't really they have not been the cream of the crop. The two Bushes, Clinton, Obama, Biden. That's everybody's got their favorites, and they love their politicians, and I don't like our politicians. And I think this was not the cream of the crop. This was the sweepings on the barnyard floor.
Yeah.
And
if the skies open and everybody saw the golden staircase, and God and Ronald Reagan came walking down the steps, and God said, "It's time to bring back Ronald Reagan." Would you, Bill Muckler, would you vote for him?
Oh, of course. I voted for him before. I'd vote for him again.
Yep. I
still like Ike.
Yeah.
If he could get rid of 1.5 million of them, maybe he could get rid of 11.5 million of them, because that's how many it's got to go.
Maybe we should bring Ike back.
I like Ike.
Yep.
I served under him. I was proud to be a commissioned officer and raise my hand to take the oath under Dwight Eisenhower. Yep. Let me just put it at that.
I worked for a guy who, in his younger days, was Eisenhower's chief speechwriter, and then later went on to own radio stations in California. A guy named Robert Keefe, and he was a great guy. Good diehard Republican. Working for him was like being tutored in history, because whenever he was around, he'd come in and he'd sit down, and we just talk Republican politics. He was a great guy.
Okay.
But
Dave, all good things must come to an end.
Yep.
It's been about an hour. I'm sure people have had enough of me. They think, okay, enough of this guy. Get rid of him. God bless you all for watching. God bless America. And I'm going to thank you, Dave, for letting me on and letting me bloviate and
you're
pontificate and do all the rest, all the crazy stuff
you're
that I
you're highly appreciated, and we'll bring you back for the Bill Muckler Looney Tunes broadcast next Friday. I promise.
Okay. Well, let's do it then. Okay.
All right, Bill. Have a great weekend.
Yeah.
All right. Muckler had the Bill Muckler Show here on Facebook for about a year, and I think you can still go into the Bill Muckler show group on Facebook and watch the broadcast, and you should, because a lot of times Bill did a broadcast by himself, and he got the word out. He got it out exactly how it had to get out, and he didn't have to deal with someone like me stumbling through and making all kinds of notes to remember exactly how to bring things up. And I enjoy having Bill on. So what we're going to do is we're going to do this in the reverse. Usually we plug the 2020 books. This, Six Off Targets, is the Bill Muckler novel, and he's told you all about it every time that he is on. And I gotta organize my desk. I thought I did, so that I would be able to just pull up the books as I needed them. These two are what I call the Conservative Patriot Broadcaster's Bible, and they are 2020, A Clear Vision for America, and 2020, A Clear Vision for Our Future. The set of the two hardbound books is $25, a donation. Contact Bill through the Bill Muckler Facebook page. Go into Messenger and tell him you want the books, and he will arrange to get them to you. Six Off Targets is a $20 donation. He self-publishes the books himself. He doesn't actually print and make each book himself, but it's almost as good as if he did. When you buy the books, he will write you a nice note from him to you on the books and make them personalized for you. And just an all-around great guy. So go to the Bill Muckler profile, click on Messenger, give him your name, your address, tell him the books that you want. I didn't ask him, and I said last night, I had Randy Rhodes on, that I would ask Bill, because I know it's a $25 donation for the 2020 books, and it's a $20 donation for the Six Off Targets, which would be $45. And I didn't ask Bill if there would be a special if one person bought all three books, the two 2020 books and the Six Off Targets. Stick around. Aftermath, the sequel novel to Six Off Targets, anytime in the next 2 years. That's all I'm going to say. I know he's working on it when he can, and I look forward to seeing it soon. Sit down, read it, read 15 minutes a day if that's what you need to do. Read more of it, and I'm sure you will love it, and you will pass it around, or don't even pass it around. Buy it for your friends and give it to them and have them read it, because I'm sure you're going to want to keep your copy on your shelf and go from there. It is always a pleasure to have Bill on with us when he is available. I want to thank Denise. Denise, I'll butcher your last name. That's what I say everybody's name is. Denise, I'll butcher your last name if I try to say it. So we call her Mama D. I met her one day when William Rayfield, Patriots Lab Uncensored, that entire platform was connected to a Boogie with the Bull. And it's a pleasure to have you watch Mama and take part in the live chat when you feel it is right. I want to thank everybody for watching on Street Lock. You had the Boogie with the Bull live YouTube channel with the live chat. And I want to thank anyone on Winkin who watched, and you did not have a live chat because our current technology just doesn't allow us to have that at the moment. So if you're watching on Winkin, when you see that we are live, go to the Boogie with the Bull YouTube channel, and you'll be able to take part in the live chat there. We were live this morning on my profile on Facebook, Boogie with the Bull YouTube channel, at Boogie WT Bull. At Boogie WT Bull is my X profile, follow me, and I will follow you. And I go in as often as I can, and I retweet everybody. And I hope that if you're watching Boogie with the Bull, you retweet it at least once a day. Help me build a following there. Let me take a look at one thing. Got to get some new equipment here that's just a little easier to work with to get the information that I need pulled up a lot faster. Let's get out of here. Let's get out of there. Get out of there. Let's go into here and let's hit that one. And we'll go down. And 59 people watched on this morning's Red Friday Morning Caffeine with Bill Buckler and I. A great number of people watching. I don't know how to count the views on the other places. I'm just trying to do it, get us out to as many places as we can at the same time. Not spend a whole lot of cost doing it, because I think if you do it and you do it right, you can do it for free on most places and not end up having to charge. So that's what we're trying to do. If there were 200 destinations available that we could be on and would want to be on all at once, I trust you, he would. And that's what we would spend the money on. I want to thank the people at StreamYard for putting up with me for an hour and 10 minutes this morning. Thank the people at Facebook for putting up with me for an hour and 10 minutes. I'm going to tell you, this weekend it is marathon membership for Street Fighter, Freedom Fighter, and Donald Trump. 3 groups brought to you by John Johnson. And I am in there with the pleasure of being made an admin and helping whip those groups into shape. If you have pending posts sitting in any of the 3 that did not get approved, I'm going through and I'm pretty much approving just everything to get it in and get it posted in your news feed. So if you see something that is grossly out of date or not important to be discussed anymore, you can always flag it, and when I see it, I'll review it and probably bring it out of the newsfeed. But right now, we're just trying to build busy news feeds in Freedom Fighter, Street Fighter, and Donald Trump. Those 3 groups of John Johnson. He's on vacation. He'll be back June 25th, so we're keeping an eye on that. I don't know what his future plans is for additional admins and or moderators, but we're doing our best to grow those. Red Patriots for America has all of the best Boogie with the Bull admin team with it. Art Sessa, Jen Woodruff, Terry Stark, Roland Hatton, who is unfortunately back in the hospital. As he had said, there was some leaking that was going to be taken care of this morning. Again, didn't sound like it was too major surgery, anything to be worried about, but it was about 2 hours worth of surgery, which he was going to have done sometime today. So our thoughts and prayers are with Roland and anyone else that is on Facebook that is going through anything that you need thoughts and prayers. You have our thoughts and prayers. But as I said, it's marathon membership weekend. That's when I go into all of the groups that I'm an admin in, and I look at the number of invited members, and I look at the number of members in a group, and if the number of invited members is so far up above the number of actual members right now, I just push it and try to get everybody off of the invited members list and into being a member, because once you're an active member, you can comment on posts, you can post in the group news feeds, you can invite your friends to join, and it is an election year. It's coming closer and closer and closer and closer and closer, and you just want to be kept up to date. Then we're doing our best in our groups to help you. And if you can't find it here on Facebook, and it's that time of year that Facebook is threatening you and restricting you and doing everything you can and making it as difficult as they can for you to be doing it on Facebook, look at some other places. Look at MeWe, look at Gab, look at Truth Social, go over and look at Wimkin, WIMKIN. WIMKIN. I believe there's an iOS app. I know there's an Android app. You can also go in from wimkin.com and join that way. Very conservative. Most of the broadcasts that I have watched seem to be on the conservative side, and so it's a good place to go and look. The American Rebellion that was here on Facebook Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday is now on Rumble and on Wimkin, and I think there might be one other place. I don't remember. But Jerry Michaels and company every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday over on Wimkin and or Rumble. I watch it on Wimkin, and I share it on Wimkin when I'm there. So go watch it live and be part of the fun. They don't always talk about politics, but there's some politics in broadcasts, but they don't always talk about politics. And sometimes when they don't, it's a great broadcast too. So Nikki Young and Jerry Michaels and whoever else may stop by every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday and Saturday. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, 7 p.m. Eastern. Catch the American Rebellion. Also, William Rayfield does broadcasts all over Facebook and all over the internet as well. So when you see that he is on, you want to watch and tune in and get the actual and factual. Become his friend. Go to the William Rayfield page, and you'll get notified every time he is on. And go watch, listen, ask. Make decisions for yourself. The election will be here soon enough, and you have to decide who you want to vote for and why you want to vote for them and what you think they can do, and start eliminating people that you don't think are doing anything in your government. Anyway, coming up on an hour and 15 minutes. It's coming up on 11:15, so we're going to pull the plug. This is the part of the program where I tell you you have been watching Boogie with the Bull Red Friday Morning Caffeine, a copyrighted presentation of the No Budget Broadcasting Company. Today we did talk about copyrighted things, Six Soft Targets, the novel from Bill Muckler. We also mentioned the 2020 books, 2020 A Clear Vision for America, 2020 A Clear Vision for Our Future. We did have permission from Bill to discuss those books because he was with us. So, to the best of my knowledge, we didn't break anybody's copyrights. And if we did break your copyright during today's broadcast, come on Monday and jump into the live chat on the Boogie with the Bull YouTube channel or the Boogie with the Bull my profile. I'm getting a little tongue-tied. My profile, Boogie with the Bull, on my Dave Golden profile has a live chat. Come in and tell me that you're there and that you want to come on and you want to talk about the copyright of yours that I violated. Anyway, go out there and make it a great weekend. Gas is slipping down here in Florida a little bit more every day. Not sure how long it will stay there. The weather did cool off. I didn't see any rain, but you never know. Sometimes that will help cool it off. But anyway, make it a fantastic weekend. Please do. And when you come back on Monday for Monday Morning Caffeine with Dave Wilson and Randy Rose and anyone else who might stop by, be ready to tell us what you did this weekend. Good morning, Danny Campbell. Danny Campbell's now one broadcast ahead from William Grant, having watched more Boogie with the Bull broadcasts than anybody else in the 5-year history of Boogie with the Bull. And if you want to challenge that, then you can watch every Boogie with the Bull broadcast and record who actually did watch the most. I know that it is Danny Campbell. But anyway, thank you, Danny, for watching. There is a lag for some reason I have noticed on StreamYard coming in on the broadcast console, the Chromebook, and the monitor that monitors the live chat on my Dave Wilson profile. So if you make a comment and it doesn't come up on the live producer screen, please let me know, and I will make sure that you get the respect that you deserve. And if it's a question, your question gets answered. And it was just something fun that you wanted to bring up and poke in, and it gets in there as well. So I want to thank the 59 people who watched all over Facebook. And like I said, Monday morning we will be back with Monday morning caffeine. And I'm Nick Wilman Jordan. Wear your red shirt. Remember, everyone deployed today, both domestically, as Bill said, and internationally, as they are. And thank them for their service and everything else. I'm getting a little tongue-tied and need a shot of caffeine this morning. I don't think I'm going to run back and lay down and take a nap, which I normally do after a broadcast, but my tongue is just getting a little bit tied. So I'm gonna end this broadcast now. Congratulations to our daughter-in-law who moved up from a white belt. I believe it's a tiger belt as she goes up. It may be the one above tiger, because tiger I think is young kids. But anyway, congratulations to her. She got to break a board with her hand and her foot. And, you know, he's on the way. Our grandson, Tony, just completed his black belt. And, didn't just complete his black belt. He earned his black belt. Now he's going through the various stages of being a black belt. And if you are too, congratulations to you. And Monday morning, we will be back. I'm sure there'll be a lot of stuff over the weekend to talk about. There'll be some new news on Monday. Anyway, thanks for watching. Have a great day.